Hey, welcome to the Simple Nutrition Podcast, a show that helps you learn practical and actual nutrition tips from an expert. I am your host, Leonila Campos, a registered dietitian with over 8 years of experience in the nutrition field. Hey, welcome back to another episode in the Simple Nutrition Insights Podcast. I am your host, Leonila Campos, registered dietitian. I feel that it has been a minute since I've done an episode, probably 3 weeks, and I had been doing 2 episodes a week. So I definitely miss coming and doing an episode. I enjoy these episodes. I enjoy talking about nutrition and wellness. And so because I've been so busy with other projects, I haven't had a chance to record. So I'm here. I have some time between sessions, so I decided to do an episode right now. So let's talk about the truth about carbohydrates, myths, facts, and practical tips. I feel that poor carbs get such a bad rep all the time. And I still, till this day, I have clients that say, carbs are bad. We shouldn't have carbohydrates, keto this and carnivore that. And so it's really important to understand the role of carbohydrates, right? Understand the importance of carbs. It is one of the macronutrients. I believe I've done protein already, so if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, go back to it. I have a nice handout that has high protein sources, plant-based and animal-based. So check it out. But yes, today we're tackling a topic that has been misunderstood for way too long, right? Oftentimes carbs have been blamed for weight gain, cravings, and even chronic diseases. But what's the real story here? Are all carbs bad? Do we really need them? And how do we balance them in a healthy nutrition plan? So let's break down some of the biggest carb myths, clear out the confusion, and give you practical tips on how to enjoy carbs without guilt. Let's start with basics. What are carbohydrates? Carbs are one of the 3 main macronutrients, along with protein and fat. I am going to do another episode on fat because it is the 3rd macronutrient. They are the body's preferred source of energy. So carbohydrates are the body's preferred source of energy, especially for the brain and muscles. Do you know that the brain uses about 20% of your calories? More specifically, carbohydrates, right? Our brain uses carbohydrates. And we need them, right, for our brain and for other functions. So there are 3 main types of carbohydrates. Simple carbs, which are found in fruit, milk, and added sugars. Complex carbs, which are found in whole grains, beans, and starchy vegetables like potatoes, peas, and corn. We have fiber, a type of carb that the body doesn't digest, but plays a huge role in gut health and blood sugar regulation and cholesterol management. Our body needs carbohydrates to function, especially for those who are active, growing, or thinking a lot throughout the day. So if you have a job, right, that requires a lot of thinking, that requires you to use your brain a lot, it's important that we don't neglect carbohydrates. Myth number 1, carbs make you gain weight. Carbs alone do not cause weight gain. Excess calories from any source can. The problem is often the quality of the carbohydrates and the portion sizes. A diet filled with refined carbs and sugars without balance can lead to overeating and blood sugar spikes. But whole fiber-rich carbs keep you full and provide essential nutrients. So the fiber helps with satiety. The fiber helps with feeling, that we are satiated. It helps with blood sugar management and blood sugar regulation. So we don't have these spikes, right? Like these blood sugar roller coasters. So we have something sugary, and the natural response of your body is to signal the pancreas, right, to release insulin so it can take that sugar out of the blood and take it into the cells. But if we do that often, right, that's where we have this sugar roller coaster. And so as the blood sugars drop, right, then that signals your body and your brain like, hey, we need to add more food here, right? But not necessarily sugar. We need more balanced meals, right? We need more complex carbohydrates, more fiber-rich carbohydrates to maintain that blood sugar regulation, and we're not having these cravings or this need to want to eat often. But they're not necessary for, I wanted to say here, the whole fiber and and adding more fiber-rich carbs. Myth number 2, low-carb diets are the best for everyone. Low-carb diets like keto can be helpful in certain medical conditions or short-term weight loss, right? Essentially, the ketogenic diet was created to help seizures, right? Or people that had epilepsy, because essentially we're controlling, and it's in a controlled environment, right? And it does help. There is research that shows that it does help people that have these conditions, but it has to be done under medical condition or medical supervision, rather. And so instead of you just deciding not to have them, right? The keto diet, it's not for everybody, even people that say otherwise, right? We have to really be strategic and keep in mind, like, is this going to work for me? In fact, cutting out carbs completely can lead to low energy, brain fog, and even muscle loss. So again, we have to be strategic. We have to think about long term, right? Yeah, we might want to essentially do a diet because we want to lose weight, right? We know that diets don't work, and for a specific reason, right? Because they're not sustainable. And so we have to figure out a plan that's going to work for us, right? It shouldn't be a one size fits all. It should be a you goal, right? What plan is going to work for me? So think of it that way, not like, oh, I'm going to try this diet and that diet and that diet, because we're going to end up even more frustrated. Myth number 3, all sugar is bad. Not all sugars are created equal. There's a big difference between naturally occurring sugars and fruits, and dairy, and added sugars in sodas, pastries, and processed foods. The key is choosing whole foods with natural sugars, which also provide fiber, vitamins, and minerals, right? Oftentimes I get asked, oh, fruit is bad, right? Or carrots are bad because they have more sugar. But that's inaccurate. If we compare how our body responds eating, let's say, a candy bar, right? Or a candy versus eating a banana, right? Or an apple, that the candy bar is just giving us that sugar, right? But the apple or the banana is giving us fiber and vitamins and minerals, nutrients that our bodies need, right? So there's not really a comparison because they're totally different foods, and one food is going to provide more nutrients than the other food. But it doesn't mean that we have to completely eliminate, right? If it's something that we like, but we have to balance things out. And be mindful of those things. Myth number 4, you should avoid carbs at night. Oh, I like this one. Eating carbs at night does not automatically lead to weight gain. In fact, for active individuals or those struggling with sleep, a balanced evening meal with healthy carbohydrates can help regulate blood sugars and promote better sleep. I do see these with my clients that are really active or that work out at night, and they, for some reason, there is this misconception that we shouldn't have carbohydrates at nighttime, and so they're omitting them, right? But we need them for recovering and repairing along with protein. And so oftentimes they're having a hard time sleeping. That's either because maybe our blood sugars are dropping or because we're hungry, right? And I oftentimes ask my clients if they're having issues with sleep and they've been active at nighttime, it's like, do you wake up hungry, right? Or do you dream about food? Or do you go to bed hungry, right? Because that all can affect our sleep quality. So even when we're sleeping, actually our bodies are using more energy essentially, right, at that time, because we're recovering, we're repairing. Even if we're not moving, your body's doing all that work, right? Essentially that behind the scenes work to get you ready for the next day. Sleep is where we recover and repair. And so sleep is so important to make sure that we're getting good quality sleep. Not only the hours, right, but the quality is what matters too. Are we getting deep sleep? Are we getting REM sleep, right? And those cycles to look into that more deeply. But also for my athletes, right? Throughout the day, right? Number one, if you're an athlete, you shouldn't restrict carbohydrates, right? I've worked with so many athletes that, come to me and they're like, oh, I'm not eating a lot of carbs because I don't want to gain weight, or, I don't need carbs at nighttime, or whatever the case may be. And I often ask, right, how do you feel throughout the day, right? I'm hungry, or my energy goes down, or like there's these factors, right? Or when I'm training, I feel like I'm not training at my best, because you're not giving your body that fuel that it needs, right? That extra energy. We use carbohydrates as the first source of energy, right? And so if we're not getting enough, our performance is going to be affected. Our ability to recover and repair is going to be affected. And so if you're an athlete, you don't restrict carbohydrates, right? Yeah, we might be strategic as to how we are, the types of carbohydrates that we're adding, but we need them, right? We need them to be able to perform better, to prevent injuries, and for recovering and repairing, as well with protein. Okay, practical tips for healthy carbohydrate choices. Now that we clear up some myths, right, here are some practical ways to include healthy carbs in your day-to-day. Focus on fiber-rich carbohydrates. So choose whole grains like quinoa, brown rice, whole wheat bread, and oats. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables to get natural fiber. Pair carbs with protein and healthy fats. This is a balanced meal. This is essentially my 3-2-1 method, right? My nutrition method, where you have a carbohydrate, you have a protein, and you have a healthy fat, and of course, right, fiber-rich sources, fruits and vegetables. So instead of just eating a plain piece of toast, right, avocado and eggs, which number one is going to help you feel more satiated, but you're also getting different nutrients in, right, that otherwise you wouldn't get if you only had the toast. Instead of just fruit, right, pair it with Greek yogurt or Greek style yogurt, or nuts, right, for some balance there. We do have to be mindful of portion sizes, right? So a healthy serving of cooked rice or pasta is about half a cup to 1 cup, depending on your needs. And so work with your dietitian to figure this out, to see what your needs are, and adjust based on that. A serving of fruit is roughly about the size of your fist, right? Same thing for cooked vegetables, right? About one fist size is about a cup. So and about the same, I think, about the same for carbs, or rice or pasta or noodles. Be mindful of liquid carbs. Sugary drinks like soda, sweetened coffee drinks, and juices can add up quickly. Opt for water, herb teas, and infused water instead. I'm going to give you an example here. Not that I'm against this company, but because I've had so many clients ask me about this question, I'm more aware of the sugar content of these drinks, right? So I have a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, yeah, once in a while I get a Dutch Bros drink, or it's something that I do multiple times during the week. And so together, right, when my client asks me that question, together we look at the menu, we look at the nutrition facts, and you're able to access that, right? It is public information, so you can go into the Dutch Bros website and look the information of whatever drink you are trying to have, and that will tell you a lot of information. Most of those drinks have over 40 grams of sugar. I don't think I've seen one that has less. There's some that have even 80 grams of sugar. Now, to put it in perspective, right, the recommendation is no more than 10% of your calories, right, coming from sugar, added sugar. So 40 grams is, oh my gosh, that's a lot. That's almost like what you need for a day and a half, right? And so sometimes if someone is wanting to make changes, right, and we're working on weight loss or whatever the case may be, is looking at the liquid carbs, right? Looking at the sugary drinks that we consume, because that alone can make a huge difference. When we drink something sugary, it goes, there's not a lot of digestion happening. So it goes into the bloodstream really fast, and that increases your blood sugars. And so the pancreas has to send insulin to bring them down. Again, you have this roller coaster of blood sugars, but it's pretty much what we call empty calories, right? So making some adjustments, either, if it's a drink that you like, okay, what swaps can I do, right, to help me decrease that amount of sugar that I'm consuming? Either, doing it less sweet, right, or swapping some of the ingredients, right, or something along those lines that can help you manage those sugary drinks. Don't fear carbs. Because we need them, right? I know there's going to be lots of conversations about we don't need them, blah, blah, blah. But it's a macronutrient, right? There's a reason why it's a macronutrient, because it's a big molecule, it's something that we need, right? And so it helps, again, it has different functions, it has different nutrients that our bodies need. So specifically, if you're an active person, carbs are your fuel, right? Think of a car that it needs fuel to run. Once you run out, and your car doesn't function as good. Same thing with carbohydrates, right? We use that as fuel. Pre and post workout meals should include a quality carbohydrate like bananas, oats, and whole grains, right, to help pre-fuel, right, to give you that push, right, to be able to do your workouts, and post-workouts, right, to help replenish the glycogen, which is the store form of glucose in your muscles. So when you go work out the next time, then you have enough, but also that will help with muscle recovering and repairing. If you have a sedentary day, focus on fiber-rich carbs, right? So more of your whole grains, more of your vegetables, and your fruits, to still be able to get those nutrients in. So my friend, carbs are not the enemy. It is all about choosing the right kinds, right? Just having that balance, eating them in balanced portions, and pairing them wisely with proteins and healthy fats. So essentially making your balanced meals, making your balanced snacks. So instead of fearing carbohydrates, let's focus on how they can support our energy, our performance, and overall well-being. So I'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway from today's episode? Are you still hesitant about carbs, or do you feel more confident about including them in your day-to-day? Let me know by sending me a message on Instagram at nutrition_with_Leonila. You can also send me a text at 559-512-0404. I have created a nice handout for you, as always. So head over the show notes and you'll be able to download that. It's all about carbohydrates and practical tips on how to add more balance to your meals. All right, my friend, until next time, take care. Fuel your body well and stay nourished. Bye-bye for now. This podcast, the links and resources provided are for the purpose to educate only and are not a replacement for medical advice or nutrition therapy. I suggest you seek out the help of a trained professional to help you with your specific situation and needs.